Very good evening and welcome to News at 6 on Rajya Sabha television. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor. Well, Finance Minister has said that large benefits of demonetization are now visible. Most parts of old currency notes are remonetized. Well, that is our big focus on that story. Also, we take a look at the rift within the Samajwadi Party ahead of the UAP Assembly polls. And in the top international news, we look at why Israel-US relations are going down south. All the details on that and much more in this bulletin, starting with the headlines. One day before deadline for depositing old notes ends, the government thanks the people for their support, says tax collection has grown at a rate of 14.1% this year. Rift within the Samajwadi Party widens. Akhilesh Yadav expresses displeasure to his father and party supremo over his recommendations being ignored during ticket distribution. AIADMK passes resolution appointing VK Sasikala as its General Secretary, even as the Madras High Court expresses concern over the circumstances leading up to the death of former party chief J. Jalalita. President Pranab Mukherjee inaugurates the Indian History Congress in Kerala, says he's concerned about history being distorted, asks writers to stick to facts. And US Secretary of State John Kerry snubs Israel over its settlements in Palestine, says the two-state solution is under threat. Israel responds calling speech biased, says it look forward to working with Donald Trump. Our top story this evening, well, the government on Thursday claimed that the Prime Minister's demonetization move had borne results and that a critical part of the exercise to scrap the high-value notes was now over. Now, Jaitley's remarks follow the Congress party's announcement that it will launch a nationwide protest from 6th of January next year on twin issues of note ban and corruption charges against Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
We are extremely grateful to the people of India who have in very large measure supported this move. The remonetization has substantially advanced. And what is significant is that not a single incident of any form of unrest has been reported in the country.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley thanking Indians for their patience in making demonetization a success. Jaitley said the gross direct tax collection was now growing at a rate of 14.4% over last year. This growth rate was only 8.3% in the previous year. As the deadline to deposit old notes ends, senior ministers of the Modi government are out in full force to further the government's agenda. Arun Jaitley's interaction with the media followed another high-profile press conference by Union Ministers Piyush Goyal and Ravi Shankar Prasad.
Amongst the currency which was in circulation on the 8th of November, a very large part has already been replaced and would continue to be replaced to the extent that the market requires that currency. More and more notes of rupees 500 are also being released into the market through the banking and the post office system. And therefore, we can now see a lot more currency coming into recirculation, which is enabling the banking system and the ATMs to further augment the supplies itself.
जिस प्रकार से देश भर ने समर्थन दिया है, उसका हम भाजपा की तरफ से भारत की जनता का धन्यवाद करना चाहेंगे। डिमोनेटाइजेशन की जो सफलता है, ये सफलता सिर्फ सरकार की नहीं है, पूरे देश की सफलता है, पूरे देश की जनता की सफलता है।
The government also plans to roll out a campaign to reach out to the masses over the demonetization move. The union minister's media interactions came after the Congress announced that it will launch a nationwide protest from January 6th.
इस सारे मामले को लेकर नोटबंदी और प्रधानमंत्री जी के ऊपर जो भ्रष्टाचार के इल्जाम हैं, उनको लेकर एक देशव्यापी आंदोलन अब कांग्रेस पार्टी ने जनवरी माह में 3 चरणों में चलाने का निर्णय लिया है। और नोटबंदी से जो मुश्किलें उत्पन्न हुई हैं, उसको लेकर हमने कांग्रेस उपाध्यक्ष राहुल जी और कांग्रेस पार्टी ने 5 मांगे रखी हैं।
झूठे बेबुनियाद आरोप लगाना आज के कांग्रेस की फितरत बन गया है। बहुत बेचैनी है क्योंकि नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार ने देश को ईमानदारी से आगे बढ़ाने की एक बहुत बड़ी मुहिम ली है। बहुत दर्द हो रहा है उन्हें क्योंकि नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सारी रैलियां ऐतिहासिक हो रही हैं।
The Congress and the BJP have been at loggerheads over demonetization since the announcement was made on November 8th. The government has defended its decision with numbers, even as it fights the Congress's allegations of corruption and misuse of power. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, in news from down south, the Madras High Court on Thursday expressed deep concern over later Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha's demise and said that the truth must come out. The court was hearing a PIL seeking a probe by an inquiry commission or a fact-finding committee into Jaya's death. However, the ruling AIADMK has denied any mystery surrounding her death.
Weeks after the demise of former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha, the Madras High Court on Thursday raised doubts over the circumstances of her mysterious death. The court observed that the state government has failed to clear the doubts even after her death. It also asked several questions as to why Jayalalitha's body cannot be exhumed. The court was hearing a public interest litigation seeking the appointment of a judicial commission to probe into the death of the former AIADMK chief. The petition was filed by P.A. Joseph, an AIADMK worker. In response, the ruling AIADMK said that it had nothing to hide and everything is above board.
Here also there are some mysterious circumstances, there are contradictions in the statements, and also the happenings happened on 4th and 5th. So all those things needs a judicial probe. For that purpose, taking a cue from the Calcutta High Court judgment, we have filed this.
There's nothing wrong in it. It's everything plain, everything clean. 3 days before, Honorable Central Minister Mr. Venkaiah for a Tamil channel, Tandi channel, he gave a clear statement. He was telling very clearly all the medical treatment was done properly. Every day I used to go to the Apollo Hospital. Every day I used to give the report to the Honorable Prime Minister.
The bench also issued notices to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, state and central governments for not revealing any information on her death. It has now posted the matter for further hearing on January 9th. Jayalalitha died on December 5th after over 2 months in Apollo Hospital. She was buried at the MGR Memorial on Marina Beach on December 6th. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, more news from the AIADMK camp, and VK Sasikala, the close aide of late J. Jayalalitha, accepted the resolution to be the AIADMK General Secretary on Thursday. Earlier, the top decision-making body of the party passed a unanimous resolution to work under the leadership of Sasikala Natarajan. Well, the decision was taken in the party's general body meeting. Now, Sasikala will formally take over as AIADMK General Secretary on 2nd of January 2017. Remember, the post fell vacant following the demise of Party General Secretary and Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha on 5th of December this year. Now, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam and other leaders attended this meeting.
We want somebody in that place who knows Amma very well, who knows Amma's views very well, who was with Amma for a long time. We requested Chinnamma because the problem is if somebody else comes, everyone may not accept. Some may have some opinions. But when Chinnamma comes, everybody will say yes. All are united for that. So we requested her. We are so thankful to her. We are so happy that she said yes.
Now, looking at rumblings of division in another party, UP Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav on Thursday met his father and Samajwadi Party Supremo Mulayam Singh Yadav amid the ongoing tussle over ticket distribution for the upcoming UP polls. Well, Akhilesh conveyed his displeasure over the names announced on Wednesday, asking the party chief to reconsider his decision. He also held a meeting with the ministers and leaders who have been denied tickets. On Wednesday, party chief Mulayam Singh had, remember, snubbed his son's choice of the candidates and also refused to project him as the next chief ministerial candidate.
Just months before the UP Assembly polls, the rift in the Samajwadi Party seems to be widening. A day after his choices were snubbed for the list of candidates, UP Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav conveyed his displeasure to the party Supremo Mulayam Singh over the choice of names. In a meeting at Mulayam Singh's residence in Lucknow, Akhilesh raised the issue of the omission of names recommended by him, including that of his close confidants. Akhilesh's rival and uncle Shiv Pal Yadav was also present in the meeting.
माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने जो उनके प्रत्याशी थे सबकी लिस्ट जारी कर दी है, जाएं अपना जीत कर आएं, हम लोग नियत किए मुख्यमंत्री जी उनको बनाएंगे.
Earlier, the UP Chief Minister discussed the situation in a meeting with several ministers and party leaders, mostly those who were not given tickets. He had sent a list of candidates to his father a few days ago, but the list issued by Mulayam Singh on Wednesday did not include many candidates recommended by him. Mulayam also ruled out projecting him as the chief ministerial candidate. The opposition has, however, called the family feud a drama which is being staged to hide the failures of the government.
मुलायम सिंह का जो युद्ध है चचा भतीजे और भाई भाई ये सब मिलके उत्तर प्रदेश को तबाह कर देगा, इसलिए उत्तर प्रदेश के लोगों को इनसे सावधान और सचेत रहना चाहिए.
तो प्रदेश के लोग इन विफलताएं जो हैं अखिलेश की, इनसे मुक्ति चाहते हैं और कोर मुद्दा जो मुख्य मुद्दा है वो ये है कि जो वादा खिलाफी अखिलेश यादव जी ने उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता के साथ की है, तो अब वो टिकट किसको देते हैं किसको नहीं देते हैं ये उनके घर का मसला है, लेकिन उत्तर प्रदेश के चुनाव के जो मुद्दे हैं और जो उन्होंने आश्वासन दिए थे प्रदेश को उसमें पूरी तरह से
The factional feud in the Samajwadi Party came in open again after Mulayam Singh Yadav declared candidates for 325 of the 403 assembly seats on Wednesday. Around 43 sitting MLAs, including 3 ministers, have not been given a ticket yet, giving a big blow to the supporters of the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some other news now. Well, President Pranab Mukherjee has expressed concerns over historians who tend to distort history, advising writers that they should maintain the authenticity of facts. He said this after inaugurating the 77th Indian History Congress in Kerala.
On Thursday, President Pranab Mukherjee inaugurated the 77th Indian History Congress at Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala. During his speech, he stressed on the importance history has in managing the diversity of a country like India. He also pressed upon writing history in a scientific manner.
And clinical appreciation of the facts and matters which are available at their command to point out their strength, because it is not merely for theoretical and academic knowledge and pursuit of knowledge for knowledge's sake, but it is essential for strengthening our concept of Indian nationhood.
The President also expressed concerns over historians who tend to distort history, advising writers to maintain the authenticity of facts.
It is natural to love one's country, see as much glory to its past as one can detect, but patriotism should not result in blinkered approaches to interpreting history or compromise with truth in order to justify an argument of choice.
The President addressed a gathering of over 3,000 historians and research scholars, along with Governor P. Sadavshivam, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan and other dignitaries. On Wednesday, historian and professor of Aligarh Muslim University, Shireen Musvi, was appointed as the new director of the Indian History Congress. Deepak Dobhal's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's now take a look at more news from across the nation in Nationwide. 2 soldiers were injured in a militant attack on a search party in Kashmir's Bandipora district on Thursday. Now, acting on a tip-off about the presence of militants in a nearby village, security forces cordoned off the area and launched a search operation. It was during the search operation that the militants attacked the forces, triggering an encounter. 2 soldiers were injured even as the militants managed to escape. The injured Jawans were sent to the army hospital for treatment. The Bombay High Court on Thursday rejected the plea of 1993 Mumbai serial blast convict Rubina Memon seeking her release on furlough. Well, the bench said that the court is not inclined to release the petitioner on furlough as she had been convicted by a Tada court for her involvement in terrorist activities. Rubina was sentenced to life imprisonment along with the 3 other family members by a Mumbai Tada court in 2006, while her husband Suleiman was acquitted due to lack of evidence. Five coaches of a local train derailed in Thane district of Western Maharashtra in the early hours of Thursday. However, no casualties were reported. Coaches of the Kurla Ambarnath train came off the tracks near Thane Junction. A preliminary investigation suggests that the train derailed due to a train fracture. Train services along the route were temporarily suspended. The first batch of 110 fishermen released recently by Pakistan arrived in Vadodara and will soon leave for their native places. Pakistan had on 25th of December released 220 Indian fishermen, a goodwill gesture which came amid strained ties after the recent cross-border terror incidents. And in News at 6, we'll take a very short break. Up next, we have all the international and sports news. Stay with us.
Like two persons, they cannot have same fingerprints. Similarly, no two woods in the world can have the same structure. Our slogan is use more, grow more, because there is no material which can replace the wood. Latest work which the institute has done is wood polymer composites. Our purpose is to replace that plastic or reduce the use of plastic.
Watch Eureka with Dr. S.K. Sharma, Senior Scientist at Institute of Food Science and Technology on Rajya Sabha Television.
Homai Vyarawala, better known by her pseudonym Dalda 13, was India's first woman photojournalist. Vyarawala entered the field of photojournalism in the late 1930s. For nearly 30 years till she retired in the early 1970s, at the peak of her career, she made a massive impact. Vyarawala clicked some iconic pictures of political and national leaders. Gandhiji, Nehru, Jinnah, Indira Gandhi have been subjects of her vast photographic collection. Prime Minister Nehru, she says, was her favourite. In 2011, Homai Vyarawala was conferred the Padma Vibhushan, the country's second highest civilian award.
Welcome back. Now, US-Israel relations are at an all-time low, with the US Secretary of State John Kerry criticizing Israel on its settlements built in Palestine. He rebuked both the states, saying that this was hurting chances of a two-state solution. Israel has, however, condemned the speech as biased. However, US President-elect Donald Trump has now indicated a break from long-standing US policies towards the conflict, a suggestion welcomed by Israel.
Despite our best efforts over the years, the two-state solution is now in serious jeopardy. The truth is that trends on the ground, violence, terrorism, incitement, settlement expansion, and the seemingly endless occupation.
The United States once again issuing a stern rebuke over Israeli settlements in Palestine. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry lamented the breaking of the status quo in Israel and Palestinian territories, saying a two-state solution looks in serious jeopardy. He also defended the US's decision last week to abstain and not veto a UN resolution condemning Israeli settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem.
And if we had vetoed this resolution just the other day, the United States would have been giving license to further unfettered settlement construction that we fundamentally oppose. So we reject the criticism that this vote abandons Israel.
However, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was quick to respond, deriding Kerry's speech as skewed against Israel. Netanyahu also signaled his support for the incoming Trump administration.
In a speech ostensibly about peace between Israelis and Palestinians, Secretary Kerry paid lip service to the unremitting campaign of terrorism that has been waged by the Palestinians against the Jewish state for nearly a century. What he did was to spend most of his speech blaming Israel for the lack of peace.
Kerry's speech once again highlights the differences between the outgoing Obama administration and the incoming Trump administration. Ahead of Kerry's speech, President-elect Donald Trump had indicated his support to Israel, tweeting he would not allow the country to be treated with disdain and disrespect. He further urged Israel to stay strong until he assumed office next month.
Israel's been treated very, very unfairly by a lot of different people. You look at resolutions in the United Nations, you take a look at what's happened. They're up for 20 reprimands, and other nations that are horrible places that treat people horribly haven't even been reprimanded. So there's something going on, and I think it's very unfair to Israel.
The issue of Jewish settlements is one of the most contentious between Israel and the Palestinians, who see them as an obstacle to peace and the creation of a viable Palestinian state. More than 5 lakh Jews live in settlements built since Israel's 1967 occupation of the West Bank and East Jerusalem. The settlements are considered illegal under international law, though Israel disputes this. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
News from the Middle East now. Well, Syria's army says it would halt all military operations from midnight under a deal brokered by Russia and Turkey, and the opposition National Coalition has also announced support for the agreement. Well, Russia's President Vladimir Putin announced the deal, saying that the Syrian regime and main forces of the armed opposition had signed on. Well, the Syrian army added that the halt excluded combat against the Islamic State group and a former Al-Qaeda affiliate. Now, key rebel groups, including the powerful Ahrar al-Sham and the Army of Islam factions, are also believed to have signed the ceasefire deal, although there is no confirmation of this as yet. Well, the agreement comes after Syrian government recaptured Aleppo from the rebels in a worst blow to the opposition forces since the war began. Well, the ceasefire will be the first nationwide halt in fighting since the week-long truce from 12th to 19th of September that collapsed after several incidents of violence. Let's get you some more international news. Here is the Global Buzz. Australian police ended a 2.5-year drug investigation on 25th of December by busting a cartel and seizing 500 kilograms of cocaine in Sydney. The police said that it was Australia's largest ever haul from a single carter. Well, the investigation was a joint effort between Australian Federal Police, New South Wales Police as well as Australia's Border Force. Thirty-three people were injured in a bomb blast during an amateur boxing match in central Philippines on Thursday. According to police, an 81mm mortar round was detonated remotely by cell phone during the match outside a shopping mall on Wednesday. This is the second attack in a public place by unknown perpetrators in less than a week. Nobody has claimed responsibility for the blast. Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte has threatened to throw corrupt officials out of a helicopter mid-air, saying he has done it before. Duterte was addressing people in Tagalog about his campaign against drugs and corruption. He was visiting area of the province in the northern island of Luzon that were recently affected by the deadly typhoon Nocturne, locally known as Nina. And finally, let's get you some sporting action in Sports Beat. Former women's world number one Serbian tennis player Ana Ivanovic has announced her retirement from tennis at the age of 29. The 2008 French Open champion has been out with injuries since August, and she dropped to 63 in the world rankings, having won just 15 matches this year. Well, Ivanovic was world number one in 2008 for 12 weeks, and she also won 15 career singles titles. Australian cricket captain Stephen Smith notched his 17th Test century as the hosts took a 22-run lead at stumps on day 4 of the second Test at Melbourne. Well, Australia surpassed Pakistan's first innings score of 443 as they ended another rain-affected day on 465 for 6. Earlier, Usman Khawaja fell to 3 runs short of a century. Tottenham maintained their challenge for a Champions League spot with a 4-1 victory over 10-man Southampton. Now, Dele Alli scored twice in Tottenham's victory as they closed in the gap on fourthly placed Arsenal to just 1 point. Argentine striker Carlos Tevez will join Shanghai Shenhua from boyhood club Boca Juniors. Chinese Super League side Shanghai Shenhua confirmed the news on Thursday but gave no details of the contract. Well, Tevez played for 7 years in the Premier League, winning the title with both Manchester clubs before joining Italian side Juventus. That's all in this edition of news. Thanks for watching.